Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles, and it's another compilation video today rather than one continuous battle throughout. These are the kind of clips that would normally find their way into an episode of Why You Have to Be Mad, despite the fact that all the World of Tanks fans get so incredibly triggered whenever I do that, but it's one of the reasons why I do it. If you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be on YouTube. But, well, I figured it was time to do a World of Warships compilation. It's been a while since I did one of these, and they do seem to be reasonably popular with the World of Warships crowd. So, kicking off today's video, this is Admiral Okita in... Oh yes, indeedy doodly do, the mighty, mighty Yamato. But the spotlight, at least initially, is on the enemy Soviet Tier 10 destroyer, the Khabarovsk, who's been spotted by the carrier's aircraft. Now, while Admiral Okita isn't prepared to waste an 18-inch shell on an enemy destroyer at that kind of range, the Tashkent up ahead is. And there's the detonation. Instant one-shot kill. And the Khabarovsk's reaction in chat is... salty. And amusing though that may be, it's not the point of this first clip in today's video. At this point, Admiral Okita has a choice of targets to feast on. The Dmitry Donskoy, Soviet Tier 9 radar cruiser. Very, very juicy target for these huge 18-inch guns. But, well, there's the enemy Yamato. He's coming around the side of an island. Now, the range is fairly extreme. Oh, choices, choices, choices. Do you shoot the Yamato or do you go for the cruiser? Wait, is the cruiser turning? The cruiser is turning. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, shot's out. Unfortunately for Admiral Okita, somebody else saw the opportunity and took the shot just a fraction of a second before him. But his shot is the one that seals the Dmitry Donskoy's fate. That's the first time he's fired his guns in this match. The match is barely 4 minutes old. The enemy team have already suffered 2 losses, one of them to a detonation. That lucky shot from the Tashkent at the beginning of the game that completely deleted the Khabarovsk in one hit. Okita's guns are reloaded. Who wants some of this? Target spotted. There's the Monarch, Tier 8 British cruiser. Now we're going to go for the enemy Yamato. 9 shots fired. Only 3 of them are going to hit the target. 1 is going to shatter. And only 2 are going to do any damage. But thanks to the fun and engaging detonation game mechanic, 2 shots is actually 1 more than he needed. 97,000 damage in 1 hit, purely because he was lucky enough to roll a natural 20. This next segment was sent in by Bushwood, that's him in his Missouri, but this particular clip isn't about him. It's about the battle going on in the background over there, between that Midway and that Kagero. Now the Kagero's just managed to miss the Midway at point blank range with 1 salvo of torpedoes, but he's having another go, and... yep. No, they've all missed as well. Well, the Kagero still has his guns, but he only has half of his health left, and the Midway's secondaries can be quite dangerous, so what's he going to do? Well, he's going to smoke up, wait for his torpedoes to reload, and then feast on the tiers of Tier 10 American aircraft carriers, obviously, or at least that's his plan. But the Midway isn't having any of that. He's recycling his aircraft, but he's not going to be able to get them away in time to launch a strike on the Kagero, so he's closed in. And a shot from Bushwood has just knocked the Kagero's engine out, and that's all the encouragement the Midway needs. He's going to do this old school, and he actually has enough health to survive the collision. Well played, Midway. Well played. How are you going to top that, Jingles? Well, I don't know if I can top it, but I'll have a damn good go. This is Pilot in the Soviet Tier 10 mini-cruiser, the Khabarovsk. What are you talking about, Jingles? It's a destroyer. No, it isn't. What's so special about this battle, Jingles? Good question. Glad you asked. Pilots doing what Kaba captains do, feasting on the tiers of battleship players by spamming them with the monstrous rate of fire of these 130mm guns, firing high explosive shells, wrecking their secondaries, knocking out their anti-aircraft guns, doing damage to their superstructure, and setting them on fire. I'm sure you all know the drill by now. He set the Amagi on fire and he's leaving him to burn for a bit while he switches his attention to this Montana. Obviously he wants to get as many different ships burning with as many different fires as possible to really start farming that damage. Now at the moment the Montana isn't paying him any direct attention. The Amagi took a shot at him but it missed, and now the Amagi's turning in order to try to get into cover behind the island up ahead and to the left, so most of the Amagi's guns aren't going to be able to fire at him now either. And with the Montana now burning nicely, he switches his attention back to the Amagi to try to light more fires on him before he makes it out of shooting range. At this point it's still quite safe to continue shooting at the Montana. The Amagi's bugging out, the Montana's secondaries don't have the range yet, and the Montana's main battery guns are still focused elsewhere. But at this point Pilot has succeeded in seriously pissing off the captain of that Monty over there, and his guns are starting to swing around in this direction. Pilot sees this, so he turns his nose in towards the Montana in order to present the smallest possible target for the Monty's guns. But at this kind of range, the Monty's 12 16-inch guns are surprisingly accurate, and turning in towards the Montana like this means that he's now approaching the range of his secondary gun batteries. At this point Pilot knows he's outstayed his welcome, and he needs to get this ship turned around and did him out in the opposite direction before the accumulated damage from the Montana's secondaries gets too much, and before the Montana reloads those 16-inch guns and has another shot. He does at least manage to get the ship turned around, again to present the smallest target towards the Montana's guns, but the Montana is surprisingly accurate at these sort of ranges, and that has left him on exactly 1 hit point. But when you're fighting an American Tier 10 battleship in a mighty Soviet mini-cruiser like the Khabarovsk, 1 hit point is all you need. Challenge accepted. He's nearly done it. Wait for it. Mission accomplished. But hell's bells, that final salvo from the Montana was awfully close, wasn't it? Actually, no, it wasn't. Close is when you miss. One of those shots actually hit. It bounced right off, of course. Capitalist 16-inch armour-piercing ammunition is no match for strong Soviet Stalinium destroyer armour. Anyway, final clip of the day. This is Erga Bezerga in the USS Baltimore American Tier 9 cruiser. So far he's been amusing himself setting fires at long range on Yamatos and grosser Kurfürsts, but then he got spotted. He very wisely decided to duck into cover, and they very unsportingly used their damage control cooldowns, so the fires are out. But he's spotted himself a little opportunity here to get in close enough to do some damage with his armour piercing. He just has to make sure he doesn't get spotted, so it's going to take very, very careful use of concealment provided by the islands to make sure he gets away with this. Shot at the broad side of the grosser Kurfürst, leaves it to the last possible second, fires, doesn't get spotted. Hooray! Can he do the same thing to this Yamato? Oh, he's been spotted. Oh, a Minotaur. This is going to be incredibly bad news for either one or both of them. He's definitely going to hurt this Minotaur. Point blank range, 6 armour-piercing citadel penetrations, but the Minotaur of course has torpedoes, and there is no way he's going to avoid them all. However, despite the fact that he just lost all but 78 of his health, there is some good news here. Because he had the bows of his ship pointing towards the Minotaur, every single one of those torpedoes struck the bows in the same spot. And after the first couple of torpedo hits, the bows became damage saturated. Or to put it in simple terms, the bows of this ship are completely wrecked, and there is no longer anything there that's capable of taking any damage, and if not for that, he would be dead right now. If the Minotaur had spent a little more time firing his guns, which have a monstrously fast reload, rather than ensuring all of his torpedoes hit, Berserker would be dead right now, and while he would have been critically damaged, the Minotaur would have gotten away with it. Having cheated death by the skin of his teeth, Berserker backs off so he doesn't become a victim of the Yamato on the far side of the island, and pops his heel. But plot twist, a second Minotaur. If he's going to get away with this twice, he's going to have to get all of his guns firing, and that means swinging the rear turret around, which is going to expose an awful lot of broadside and make him a sitting duck for that Minotaur's guns. But the Minotaur isn't firing his guns, so Berserker spanks him for another 4 citadels and 20,000 damage. Now at this point, the Minotaur has 10 152mm guns pointing straight at Berserker's ship, and if he would just pull the trigger, Berserker wouldn't be able to get the rear turret firing. But he doesn't, so Berserker does get the rear turret firing, with entirely predictable results. And I'd love to be able to tell you that Berserker managed to avoid all of that Minotaur's torpedoes. He very, very nearly did. Unfortunately, with his damage control on cooldown, the one hit into the bows, even though it wasn't enough to kill him, because his bows were damage saturated, did cause flooding. And it was the flooding that finished him off. But it was probably worth it. I'm sure you'll agree. And that's it for today's rather quick World of Warships video. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.